This week, we see another attempt by the government to rationalise and to reorganise its ways of managing higher education. This is through the results of a consultation undertaken by the Office for Students. This consultation looked at the conditions for the quality registration of institutes of higher education. This all seems very plausible, and indeed some of the changes that have been made to the conditions B1 to B5 are completely acceptable. But I want to talk to you today about the changes that have been made to B2. B2 requires that the institution makes all best endeavour to ensure that the students succeed beyond the university and in their career. Yep, you've heard me. They are to ensure that students succeed beyond their university engagement. Now, this seems to me to be the chat of mad people. How can we possibly be responsible for looking after how people engage with their lives beyond the university? In the consultation, some respondents claimed that that's impossible and that we should be required to enable, that is, to provide the basic skills that students can take with them into the workplace, and then basically it's up to them and the employer. This was rejected for no reason by the Office of Students, who insisted on keeping ensure, but think that they can water down the emphasis on it by talking about all best endeavours. So again, it seems to me an incredible attack on what the universities can actually do. And of course, the government doesn't fully describe that in any of its consultation or policy statements. In addition to this, so we have a problem that we're going to be responsible for the success of our students beyond the institution. In addition to that, we've got to make sure that their English language is appropriate for graduate level. Now, how that's achievable and how that is part of intellectual development, I don't know. We are responsible for looking after the entrance requirements of our access students, and we're responsible for ensuring that we work with further education and with schools to improve those standards. So that seems to me that the universities are really central to the whole education system, and that isn't something I would deny, but it is, for me, a problem about the mechanisms that are being used to reveal that importance. One of the critical things that the universities have to look to is to ensure that each of the cohorts that take a course have the maximum opportunities to succeed. Clearly something that we would be doing ordinarily. But if that requires additional resources in terms of teaching and in terms of hardware, computers, for instance, the cost of that has to be borne by the university. There is no word about how we can cross-subsidize from those wealthier students who have all those resources. So there's an issue here when we're talking about access, that if you increase your access profile to new time university students or the university students from less well-off environments, it's going to cost you extra money. And particularly if we use the foundation year route to bring in students who aren't quite ready for university education, we're going to be squeezed, as the previous TEF recommendations spoke about, in terms of costs. So we've got to pay extra costs, and foundation years are going to be 40% less than the costs of a one-year undergraduate degree. All of that seems terribly unfair. Importantly, it seems that it's targeted only at those universities which are not the elite research universities of the Russell Group. So this leads me to conclude that there is a sustained attack on one sector of the university environment. Those who are rich and can afford or very bright and can afford to go to the Oxbridge group and the Russell groups. No need to worry about any of these changes that are going on in the university, because it's their brand reputation, not necessarily their teaching, which enables them, their students, to get managerial and graduate level jobs. The role that universities who are not in that group offer to society is to enable students to gain an intellectual foot up, to enable them to get jobs, and to enable them to use their skills to develop themselves within a society, unfair though that may be. That part of the higher education sector is being directly attacked, not only by this, the results of this consultation, but also by the implicit roles that the Office of Students sees under the TFE. To give you an idea why we should be worried, the idea that universities should be accountable for post-university achievement was rejected by the consultation. The consultation says just under half of the respondents supported this, which basically means that over half didn't. And so that kind of consultation and engagement with the consultation clearly seems to be alien to the Office of Students. So what I want to do is just to continue this piecemeal dripping of approaches to higher education. If we put them together, there's a clear direction of travel. That direction of travel, seems to me, is to reduce the effectiveness of higher education overall to society, and to focus it into the elite universities, as was the case previously. This seems to be a reduction in access, a reduction of the common good of higher education. But then again, higher education's mission of a common good, of improving citizenship, of improving moral standards and improving leadership, has been attacked over the last 1 or 2 years at least. So I think the direction of travel, as I said, is something we should be very anxious about. Thank you. Bye-bye.